Hey, Sean, it's great to have you back. It's been close to almost a year. We were just talking about that. And I know you started a book way back when, and you were talking about going dry. And I seen you do, I think you ran a marathon and stuff since then. And I don't know everything else that's been going on, but would you mind just let's just have a conversation and go back to, your journey, what's been going on since then. And if you feel like you have to go back a little bit to bring people up to par a little bit, from your experience prior to that, then feel free.
All right, yeah. Well, I appreciate being back. It's good to see you again. And no, it's been great since we last spoke. I've definitely continued grow with my growth, and it was a half marathon. Just quick correction, but maybe someday I'll get to the full. Um, when I was growing up, it was never something that I felt comfortable doing. I was athletic. Did the house league or rec sports. But by the time I got to high school, I never had the self confidence to do a lot of the outdoorsy athletic more so than just the rec league. And uh, the running bit was always I never wanted to do it. It was never something I was going to do because there had to be a ball or a puck or frisbee or just something. And speaking about the half, it was a challenge for me last year after we spoke, and I had been running since then, but it was a challenge to get to a point where I could give it a shot.
Yeah, what builds your confidence up to give it a shot then?
Well, I guess I back up a bit to bring everybody up to speed. So I grew up just I had two younger brothers. My parents were together, but it was just a busy household. Lots going on. Lots of different social functions. Drinking was normal. Alcohol was normal. And as we spoke in our last conversation, I just developed my own habits around it and thought that lifestyle was what was the normal, was what I was supposed to do, and kind of created my own lifestyle and habits through my life around it, and got to a point where I was 320 pounds and just not in the shape that I wanted to be in, and thought everything was happening to me. Right. I was the victim mindset in a lot of it, and didn't realize that in order to change, I had to do something myself about it. So growing up with that mentality, it was never being confident to do something like run in a place that people were going to see me. Um, when I was working on my growth and kind of working on my fitness and losing weight, I was doing a lot of cardio, and thought, like, I've never done an organized running event. How cool would that be to just build to that point where I could do a 5K race? And so in April, I did my first organized race. It was a 5K near my house, and so awkward. I just, when I was even running around my neighborhood getting ready for it, I just felt like everybody was in their windows watching me do this, knowing that I was just not a runner, or not supposed to do that. Or I was thinking all the old thoughts and how I just didn't belong. But when I got to that race and I ran that 5K and I completed it, and it didn't kill me, it's a little bit of a lot of actual confidence that was like, I want to do this again. So, I signed up for another 5K. I did a 10 kilometer in the fall. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I wonder if I could do it, and just really challenged myself to get to a point where I could do the half marathon. And October, I finished it just 2 hours, 45 minutes. And it was, I can't know the conversion to Fahrenheit, but it was 35 degrees Celsius, and was at like 90 degrees almost. It was miserable. It was so hot. And I was mentally prepared for it, pushed myself through, allowed myself to walk the parts that I needed to make sure I didn't get, heat stroke or anything, just so that I could finish it. And it was a really cool moment.
That's great. That's great. And so do you have anything else exciting coming up, kind of like that?
Yeah, I definitely. So I joined a running, social running group near my house, and that was like an extension of the uncomfort I felt in that space. And the one running group kind of sponsors a lot of the events in the area, so they do all of these kind of one event a month sort of thing, and then of different lengths, and they have different running groups, social things. So I did a bunch of the events last year, but then signed up this year to kind of be a part of that group. So there's a half marathon coming up in April with that group, and then a few smaller ones through the summer when it's going to be hot, and I'll expect it to be hot. And then I'm going to challenge that annual one I did in October again. So try to do two halves this year.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you are definitely coming way out of your comfort zone. That's for sure. Um, from not drinking to writing a book and, whatever else you've been doing since then as well. And then doing this, that's awesome. So, I mean, how does it feel to be around these other people in this group and stuff that you're starting to work with, kind of like building you up to keep you moving in this direction?
Oh, it's great. The first running event was just so odd to me because I felt so out of place, but they are such a supportive group. When you are running in an event and you got all these strangers just waiting for their people, their loved ones that they're there to watch, or just neighbors or people that just want to be there. All these people are cheering on every runner that comes around that corner or everybody that's coming over the line. It's just such a cool moment and such a supportive environment. And while I felt at a place and felt like like I didn't belong, I felt so comfortable there because of just all the people that were so interested in just in supporting and as I went through a few more of the events and joined this run group, I actually volunteered for an event that was set for January. It was they're called a resolution run, and it was in the winter. So we're in Eastern Ontario, and actually the day of the race. It ended up snowing like 5 inches, and they still had the race, and I wasn't feeling comfortable yet to run in that condition, but I thought, how am I going to get comfortable sitting at home where it's warm? So I leading up to the event, I volunteered. I said, you know what, I'm not sure I'm ready to run this yet, but I'm going to volunteer. I'll help, and then I'll have a concept of what it's like and what the people are wearing and a lot of the things I wasn't sure about, so that next year in January I can commit to doing that and at least have a concept of what it was like, even though I didn't feel like I could run it yet.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good way to look at it. So you chipped in to help out and you can learn what everybody else is doing to prepare for next year. Did you sign up for next year?
It's the sign up's not out yet, but
Ah,
I'm
come on.
I'm definitely gonna do it. I'm definitely gonna do it.
All right. I'm gonna hold it to you now. So now you know what to do. Now you know what to expect. So it's definitely coming. Great. What else you got going on?
So I've been working through, my platform and putting out all my short videos, and I started a TikTok, and a lot of that content speaks to this ongoing message of coming out of that comfort zone, challenging myself, because everything I'm talking about is stuff I'm still working on, right? So challenging myself and others to, challenge that person that they thought they were, and allowing them to come into a place where they might be better or they may want to be, because until we change what we're working on, until we change where we come from mentally, can we really change that physically? So a lot of my efforts are to just continue that message. I've had a lot of people reach out because of the development in the 3 years. I'm still sober by choice, but that's just my this decision I've wanted to make. I know you went through a similar journey with removing alcohol, and I just I didn't feel like I wanted it back, so chosen to say that. And I've had quite a few people reach out and ask for pointers, and I've done some coaching with some people that just were looking to challenge themselves in the same way. And like anybody that's going through it, the best place we can look for is somebody that's done it or somebody that's seen it. So like going to that race and seeing what it's like to run in the winter and what people are doing, talk to somebody that's done it is kind of the same thing. You can get that information. So I've given a lot of personal coaching to people that just have those questions that I was afraid to ask when I got started, and questions that when we get that information from somebody, we then we know it's possible. We're not trying to compete with LeBron James. We're bringing people around us that have seen or done something that we want to do, and getting that info and confidence from them.
That's great. That's awesome. So, I mean, what would you normally say to somebody that gets started, at not drinking?
Well, not drinking it, I'd want to know like what their intentions are, like what are their thoughts, because if somebody's just like I was in the beginning, I was just challenging myself to take a break. So is someone thinking, and it's safe to do that because it's a small step towards what might come. But are you thinking a break? Is this something that you just have to stop? Is it something you want to stop? Because when I know what the buy-in is, when I know how what their desire is, I can offer some advice based on my experience to what worked for me, what didn't work for me. If somebody's miserable about it because it's something their spouse is ordered for them and there's an ultimatum in the background, do they really want it? How much, not that I'm not going to help, but how much time and effort can we put into that mentality, when that's typically where people find their most most failures, right? If somebody doesn't want it, like anything we're working on, if we don't want it, then we're not going to try the things we're learning. We're not going to, absorb the information. So when somebody reaches out and wants to know some pointers, some things that worked, I just want to talk about their background a bit and find out what they're working on, how long have they not been drinking or doing something, what have they tried before. There might be some stuff that they've tried in the past that just didn't work, and maybe it's because they didn't try it long enough, or maybe it was just because it was just too big for where they were at that time. So just to get more information.
No, that's great. Yeah. And so I stopped. Like, it's been over a year now for me, and it's just basically for me being authentic, right? And then obviously there's all the health, benefits from not drinking and everything. Like, there's one thing that you start with, right? And then it all just comes together. So, I mean, that's the reason for me. Plus, I also saw that, prior history with my father that probably led to his death eventually. And it's just nothing, not a path I wanted to go down either. So, like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I had a few reasons, right? But my biggest one was I just want to be myself. And that's what you're going to get. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Without some other drug or whatever it is just coming into your body and saying, this is you. And it's not me. Right. So
Mhm.
that was my reasoning. So I mean, I like your approach. I like you just trying to understand really what is triggering them to stop, or even make the attempt. Right. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah. And so do you recommend them with tracking like the number of days or hours or whatever they're not consuming?
Yeah, so I found and I've actually grown a bit to appreciate this in different ways, because everything that I did, and we'll talk about that with habit and tracking and that reformation. It works with whatever we're working on. I talked to you before about, I started by brushing my teeth twice a day. It was something I wasn't doing well and wanted to be better at. So I was marketed on the calendar. I said, oh, I'm going to do this for this many days. And as I learned about habits and structure, 30 days or 21 days became 42 days. And they said, sometimes for lifestyles and habits, it's cycles of 21 days. So I got to a point where 100 was my number. 100 was my trial that I was going to do. So brushing my teeth twice a day, I'd mark it on the calendar, check mark in the morning, check mark at night. I'd see that was a win on the day. Small shot of dopamine that I did it today. Great. And then do that for 2 days, 3 days, build myself up to a week. And then, as it went on, it was more and more to the 100 mark. And just seeing that on the calendar every day. And then I'd see the month was full of all these check marks. Like, there's a lot of growth there. You can see a lot of growth. And while it's so small to think about brushing your teeth twice a day or going for that walk or reading 2 pages of a book, when you see that growth on that calendar via check marks or circles or whatever you're marking, that's a massive change that you wouldn't have done if you didn't do those small things. So um yeah, when I was working through, I was just tracking that item on the calendar. It was brushing my teeth or it was whatever, seeing it over that period of time, getting that shot of dopamine because I was filling the calendar and getting all those things. And then just trying something else after the 100 days for something. It was, if I felt like I was confident, I would stop tracking it. I wouldn't stop tracking it like if it was the drinking, just to run back to it, but more in an attempt to see if I could maintain that lifestyle, maintain what I've been working on without having to be consciously aware of it. If it was just something that was a part of me now. And brushing my teeth as an example, it was like I'd go to bed, forget, and realize and just shoot right up. I'm like, I gotta go do this because I knew somehow that I was gonna miss a day, even though I wasn't check marking it anymore. I just mentally didn't want to miss it. And then, there's all the other things too, with just the feeling and the cleanliness and all those things, the real reason I got started. But like drinking, it was like, I just didn't want, after I decided I was done, that feeling of hangover or the extension of just being miserable for multiple days after the event, or all the things. It just, I didn't miss any of that. So when I kind of got through my first challenge, and what is the basis of the book that I released, it was, what, I'm good. I don't want to go back to that. I feel much better where I'm at. I know how to handle myself now. I know that I have confidence in the journey.
That's great. Yeah, and so confidence, and then you got your discipline, right? So you're keeping track of everything to be disciplined, and just like you said, you jumped out and you had to brush your teeth or whatever, right? Because you know it was just going to screw everything up.
Mhm.
Not that it was going to be bad, but you just want to stay on track. Uh, yeah. Well, I lost my train of thought with the question I had for you, but I think that's a good start for somebody to begin to do something right and become better. We always tend to track stuff when we want to get better, but not track the bad stuff that we're already doing. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I just wanted to go ahead and ask you, you started to work on not drinking, and then I think if I'm right, is it 80, maybe you can correct me. I think it's 80 hours or something, like the alcohol stays in your system or something up to that point, if I'm right.
Mhm.
So would you say like after those 80 hours, like that's when you can start to feel like yourself, and then you could kind of progress and not have to take on drinking if you decided not to drink?
Yeah, I think I can't remember if it's 80, but it's at least, a few days. See, say the 3 day mark. And when I think back about, the feelings that I had after a function or after a night drinking, like I can see that extension of, I call it extension of a hangover. I don't know what the scientific is, but basically I felt like I was good. I could go get through an entire night, most nights, not feel sick. And then the next day, I feel fine. I don't have a headache. I'm just, stomach's a little off, but I'm good. But I didn't account for the fact that I was miserable. I was negative. My patience was zero. I didn't associate that to being part of the hangover. I had that like something else. That was just, I was having a bad day every day, whatever it was. But like that hangover period, or that, 80 hours, I felt that when I looked back on those nights, and it is. And I've heard somebody call, like, I've had a guy working with me. He takes an extra day off when he's got a function on a Saturday. Sunday's the hangover day, and Monday's his booze blues day,
Hmm.
where he just knows he's going to be down and out, so he books the extra day.
Yeah. He's got it planned out already. All right.
Yeah.
Well, at least he knows it's coming, right? Like he knows how they handle it.
That's right.
Oh, that's great. What other tips do you have, for somebody, whether it's drinking or something, if you're helping other people in other areas, to improve?
Well, we're just getting it's February now, recording this, but I've been talking quite a lot lately about January resolutions. I started my journey, and we spoke a lot about it in the last episode, but it was a resolution for me. I felt like it was never something that I was successful at, and through, a series of events, I managed to pull this one off for the most part. And but normally we don't, right? I failed at so many resolutions before, and I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect because it's a new year. And our big goals that we make, these resolutions, they're not small, right? We don't make resolutions to get through the first week of January not eating sugar or not drinking or reading something. It's like, this is just who I'm going to be for this entire year. And I think there's so much pressure on that resolution that we make for ourselves to be different, that we fail. A lot of the times it's because it's just such a huge goal. And something I learned was you've got to make that big goal, definitely, but you've got to also make micro goals, right? You've got to have a plan to get there. And that plan doesn't have to happen if we're talking 2024 and we're looking for people that are listening to this that maybe fell off the resolution, you're not done now. You didn't fail this year because you've got this much time left in the year. And um, don't wait for next January when you can get going on it right now. But maybe the goal was too big. So let's break it down. If it's, you want to lose a bunch of weight, don't worry about 20, 30, 50 pounds. Let's just focus on 5, right? The goals can be 50 pounds or whatever, but we're worried about the first 5. So then we work hard on the first 5. We get there, we use that momentum, we use that discipline, we get to 7, we get to 10, whatever the steps are we need to get there. And if we don't get to the goal by January, by the following January, it's not a failure. We didn't fail. If we're 48 pounds, say by the next January, you don't have to be done your goals this year. You don't have to be finished this resolution because you're getting to the next January. You keep going. And talking about resolutions, how much better would it be if every January we just tweaked those goals, or we just tweaked what we're working on, adjusted, if you will, rather than set this great big mountain of a goal that we got to try and go from 0 to 60 on without, a real means to get there.
Yeah. Hey, and to add on to that, so like I've been telling people my year starts at the beginning of November. Like that's just my, so I'm already 3 months in my year, right? So, and I'm just saying that because somebody could say February 1st is the first, of their year, and just start now, right? Why, like
Mm-hmm.
you said, why put it off, And then add on to that, it's obviously like you shared with your group with running and stuff. Find the support team that's going to help you, because that friend that you're hanging out drinking with all the time, he's not probably going to help you. He'll support you, but he ain't gonna stop drinking around you, right? And you're going to be around that environment where you're probably going to be more likely to go back his way. Or if it's 3 guys, you might be, going back to that route. I know you struggled a little bit when you were going to your picnics and stuff, and then people, were asking you stuff, and you didn't take anything. I think you took food or something, if I'm right, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually, I even brought a booze with me to give away, to
That's
buy
sick.
to buy my round, right? I'd bring something, so I wasn't taking any crap from anybody because they were drinking my stuff. So it was like just a way for me to, one, contribute, because that felt good too, but also like not take any of that back. So yeah, that was I didn't do that often, but there was a couple of times where it was like, I just don't want to listen to anybody. So if I bring some, they'll be nice to me.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
guess, yeah, to get into like the circles we create, the circles that we are with, like me joining that running group, you surround yourself with the people that want the same things as you, or that cheer you on, and all that like inspiration I found from just being around strangers cheering me on as I'm running around this bend, like that was massive. And if we surround ourselves with people that want the best for us, whether they know us or not, that's a lot of power there. And I think going through the stuff I went through with drinking and then not drinking, it was like, I had to convince myself, which was difficult, but everyone around me, like your example with the guy that we used to drink with, they're going to try and pull us back. They know that version of us that they're so used to. And I had this with a lot of people. They know that version of us. So just as comfortable as we are there, that's where they are comfortable too. So like we have to convince ourselves as much as the people around us that we're not that way anymore. But yeah, I think a lot of pressure too, to add to that. We feel like, I felt like, you hear a lot of the social space and the wellness space is like you're going to lose friends, and nobody wants to hear that. When we're working through growth, we don't want to hear that if we're going to get better, we're going to lose friends, we're not going to be close to people. But something I learned, and something that we have to remember, is we're going to do that anyways. Naturally, we grow close to people and apart from people who we work with, who we are around, who we're not around. If we can see family all the time, if we don't see family at all, just it's natural for us to grow apart. And if we start to change the habits and things in our life that we don't want to do anymore, we will naturally grow apart from certain people, and we'll grow closer to others. So I think we don't have to stress so much about it, even though it may not feel good in the moment. and back, as I say, moment, it's not like it happens in a hurry. This is over a period of time. But like, it's not something to really get that stressed about. Is you're doing better, and people aren't going to want to hang out with you anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and think of all the friends you had back in school or whatever that you might have that one special person you still talk to, but most of the time you distance yourself, everybody goes to the college or they go to the job and you know they find that other group, that other person that they hang around with because for whatever reason you're attracted to them, right? And whether it's business or some kind of hobby that you got going on. But yeah, and I've been telling other people too, my circle got really small, but and that's because you're only traveling to another circle, you're in that moment, and as you can share, you already, that you found that group of runners and stuff and you're joining that and growing there. So, I mean, that's a huge plus. Did it feel, I know it was out of your comfort zone, but did you have a hard time like reaching out to somebody like that? I mean, because it was new.
It was a struggle because like I felt like I could run. Like it was something I had worked. It wasn't like I just one day decided I'm going to go run in this event. I had been running around the cottage. I've been running around the neighborhood, and I had to put my headphones in and crank it up because then I'm not worried about the people I thought were in their windows. And it was like I got to a means, and then as I got going with it, and it didn't start as running. It started as walking. It started as I jogged, a few driveways with, and then I walk for a bit and jog again, and it was a transition. So like as that developed, I'd get more confidence personally. But that first event, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know a soul, and like there was a ton of people there, and I was in my hometown, just for like half an hour, 40 minutes away, so close enough that I should have seen somebody I knew, and it's because that's not where I was used to being before. So I was never someone that went to these things, let alone participate. So for me to not see anybody felt even more like I didn't belong there. And it wasn't until I got through the first couple that I started to see some people that I worked with or that I worked around, or acquaintances, and it was kind of those people where I would kind of gravitate to because I at least knew them from somewhere else, to start talking about different things like techniques and tools, or shoes, different things, and really start to get into that space. And that's like anything, we're not going to know everything, we're not going to know everybody, and we just have to kind of work our way to a point, and then we'll start to learn more about it, either through other people or just our own experience.
Yeah, and you're climbing, like you're reaching out, right? Nobody pushed you. So when somebody pushes you, you're kind of like, okay, I got to do this. But you don't have to do this. This is something that you said, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I want to do this. So it's a
Yeah.
totally different, approach, for jumping into something, right? Um, but I mean, it's definitely a weird feeling. I mean, I've had it on my end for everything I've been doing too in the past year or so, and if not more. And it's a game changer, right? Because you're becoming so much better than what you were before, and people are seeing that, and those, you can go back to the circle, whatever. Those people are watching you grow, and then they're just, maybe they want to grow with you, but they just feel like they can't, so there's that fear. And talking to you, Sean, I mean, this is awesome. You've been climbing out of so much fear, I can see it. And and you shared how you gotten so uncomfortable, so comfortable being uncomfortable, right? um and just taking on anything else you got going on. So
it
go ahead.
it's like I was gonna say, it's like a dopamine hit in itself, because I'm aware of the person I used to be, and as we talk about circles and moving on and growing closer and further apart from different people, all of this is from an absolute judgment free zone, right? I don't look back on the circles I was with, the friends I had, the people I knew, in any form like I'm any better or worse. We're all doing our own thing at different points. Everybody's not interested in the same thing. So as I'm growing, I'm moving on. I'm just interested in different things. I'm just focusing in different places, and it's naturally going to happen. So if I run into some people I used to hang out with, we still have great conversations. There's great moments. There's fun times. I'm not drinking, and it's not the same as it used to be. And if that's what we're, the example, but like, it's going to happen. So, I don't run into those people like, oh, I can't be here because that's what we did. And I've grown enough that I don't feel the urge to drink and whatever, but and that was always a social lubricant anyway. So there was oftentimes other things going on. But like, as I've grown and I'm not coming from those judgment spaces and moving on, I've definitely come to appreciate um just continuing to grow and challenging myself, because as I knew where I came from, if I don't challenge myself, if I don't try new things, if I don't push when I'm uncomfortable at this running event or whatever it is, then there's a chance that I might find that person I used to be again, right? There might be like that moment where I just don't try because I'm stuck. And we're gonna have good and bad days, but I just kind of, I'm not running from that person I used to be, because I've accepted that person and I've forgiven that person, but I'm just aware of who I used to be, and challenging myself to do things I never would have done before, to just learn whether or not I'd like it. And
Yeah.
running is a thing, and I'm just loving putting the headphones on, being outside. Like that form of exercise has been great.
Yeah. Do you ever catch yourself like coming down to that place where you used to be in a way and you feel it, like you feel disappointed, depressed?
Yeah, there's moments for sure. It's not a perfect system, and I think anybody that, like, in the wellness space that's talking about how great things are, like, things are great when you're working on yourself, you're feeling good, you're getting those hits of dopamine, you're evolving. But I think everybody has their days. Like, I there's times where my patience level isn't great, and I've got three young kids, and they're growing up. They're three under 10, 11 years old. So it's just a busy place. And sometimes that, person I used to be with patience levels and things will show up, and I just have to, apologize and admit that I recognize that that's happened, and move on. And, it definitely, there's definitely moments that come up, and um, I'm not going on benders or anything, because I'm committed to what I'm working on. But as far as like attitudes and stuff goes, and some diet stuff, like I lost 100 pounds, I'm still in that realm, but my growth didn't continue for a minute because I was snacking a bit more, and I was enjoying a bit of that. So it was like I was allowing myself in this way, and I was catching it because I'm back on it, on the, the not in the wagon, but like working out and the diet. But for that moment, it was like that weak moment where I used to be, where it's like, I'm not going to do this for a day, and then a day becomes a week, and it's like I need to catch this now, or it's going to go back.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I was running around for the past 2 weeks, going places and stuff, and I was with the kids and whatever, and I slacked off on working out. I'm like, man, I miss it, right? So I did it yesterday, and to get back into it. Um, but I'll be honest with you, like I wasn't tracking what I was eating and stuff, but you can kind of feel yourself after doing stuff for so long. You're like, nah, that's my limit, and you just jump around. So um, it's good to be at home sometimes, back into a routine, everything that you were doing, and get back into place and feel healthier, feel like you're growing again. Because you went, I, where I came from, I started from nothing, and I started to do a workout routine, right? And it took a while to embed it. I mean, it was 6 months with a trainer, and then we just kept talking after that just for fun, and kind of we built those habits, right? And I
Mhm.
don't want to lose that. Like, I don't want to lose that at all, because it took so long
No.
to get that. Uh, but yeah, so you do catch yourself. So you catch yourself falling down off of those good habits. But it's a good thing to, either, if you're not tracking it, you can feel it, whether it's mentally or physically, you can feel that, yeah, there's something wrong here. I'm missing what I'm used to doing, you
Yeah, and
know.
if we're aware of that, we know it's not going to be perfect. We're human, we're going to have that moment. We're going to have that slip. Life is going to happen. Life is going to happen. And if you're on that streak, you're check marking those things, whatever you're working on, and you miss it for legitimate things, and that what is legitimate is up to you to decide, because that could be something that another person isn't, right? Like, you have to make it about yourself and your own terms, but it's normal to have things happen. And just because life happened and you missed that workout, for your example, you miss it, that means you want to get back to it, but it's okay that you missed it. It's okay to come back to it. It's okay that I let myself snack for a couple days, but I was aware of it. I caught it just like you did, and you get back on it, and no harm, no foul. It's
Right.
it's where we live in a space where we feel like all this time, and I've lived in this space before too. Like I had some growth, I lost some weight, and then it was like, this was years ago, I'd put it all back on because I'd get to a point, I'd have that chocolate bar or whatever, and it'd be like, oh, it's all gone. I've lost all this growth. I'm gonna just continue to eat like crap and not exercise, and then I've put more of that weight back on and then some. It's like, just because you've had that off day or life happened and you missed something, start again tomorrow, right? Get back on it the next day and continue on. It's all good.
Yeah. No, this is great. This has been an awesome conversation, Sean. I appreciate you coming back on and sharing everything that has been changing for you in the past year or so. Do you have anything that you like to share, like any events? I don't know, any links or anything like that, any way to contact you? Because now you're coaching now, which is new to me. So
Yeah, I just started kind of unofficially doing that. I've had a bunch of people reach out, and through my website is just the best place, seanrobinson.ca. I've got all my stuff linked kind of in that direction, on my YouTube and TikTok and Facebook, Instagram, all the social stuff. So it's all kind of linked through there. And then, yeah, I started, I've had a few people reach out, not just for the, drinking and those things, but just in general. My contact me page on my website comes straight to me. I answer everything that comes in, and Instagram and Facebook, all the comments. But like, some of the questions and some of the interest I've had, it's almost natural that when we've seen so much growth in ourselves, and people see that close to us. Like, I've had some people that I worked with, and these are like construction men, older than me, probably more invested in their old habits than I was in mine, whatever that means to them. But like, asking me questions, being vulnerable with me, saying that they need help, and all the things that I wasn't doing before and that I started to do and encouraging people to do. When people start to reach out in a real vulnerable place for that help that we're so afraid to ask for, like, that's a powerful thing. And I've had a bunch of people reach out, and I've given that advice. I've checked in with them daily. I've sent the inspirational stuff and checked just to see where things are going, give some pointers. That whole thing has been, something I've just started working on really more lately. And there's a lot of power in that too.
that's great. Yeah, and that's good for them to open up, right? But it's also showing you who you are. You're that person given that space that they can just share whatever it is that they're sharing with you. So awesome.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
good.
a push for me to keep going too, right? Like, just because we're in the wellness space and we're working on ourselves doesn't mean we're perfect. Nobody's perfect. We like we talked about having weak moments. I look for inspiration too, and I look for that push from others too. So if if I can find that encouragement from other people, and those running events and those circles I've joined, and different things, just like I can give it to somebody else, it's receiving, it's paying it forward, it's all those things.
Yeah, and you've been doing that since day one, it sounds like. So you keep moving
Yeah.
forward. Awesome. Well, Sean, I appreciate you coming back and sharing everything you had to share in the past year or so. And I'm sure this isn't the last time, so we'll have to get together again then. So thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely. I appreciate you coming back, and I've been following your show a little bit as I can, and you're doing great. Keep it up.
Thank you. I appreciate it.